Real barbecue lovers will travel just about anywhere for a real barbecue feast. So the next time you're craving some awesome ribs and brisket and pulled pork, you can head up to Brentwood, New Hampshire to Goody Coles. Goody Coles is a real deal Southern style barbecue joint, and I mean that in the best possible way. It's a little roadside shack on the side of Route 125 in Brentwood, New Hampshire. Holly Linehan and her husband Doug originally opened this place back in 2003. It was a tiny little barbecue shack in Exeter, New Hampshire. A few years later, they opened up this slightly bigger space, and moving into the bigger space allowed them to get a much bigger and better smoker. It can smoke over 1,000 pounds of meat at a time. And this smoker is working 24 hours a day. So whether they're making the pork or the beef or the ribs, these things are smoking for 6, 8, 12 hours at a time. The specialty here is Texas style barbecue, so they're using just hickory wood in that smoker. That infuses every piece of meat with that authentic smokiness you're looking for. You've probably heard of lobster in the rough. This place is pretty much barbecue in the rough. I mean, it's not all that much to look at. Small dining room, classic red and white tablecloths. There are hundreds of license plates and old beer advertising all over the walls. You just walk up to the counter, you order your meat, and then the feast is on. When you're talking about Texas style barbecue, the #1 food is definitely beef brisket. And so Goody Coles does it just about as well as anybody in New England. A properly made brisket has all the layers. You see that dark bark, that is the dry rub. Then you see a little bit of pink or red. That's what's known as the smoke ring. Then you see the beef itself. It is well marbled. And then on top, a little strip of fat. Remember, fat brings flavor. And that's why this brisket is so darn good. If brisket is the #1 food you gotta get here, then the ribs are definitely a close second. These are St. Louis cut ribs, so they're a bit bigger than a baby back, but they're also more tender and more meaty. When you look at these ribs, it is obvious these are expert pit masters. The bone pulls away from the meat just slightly. A lot of people think you want ribs to fall off the bone. You don't. You want the meat to pull off the bone. So when I take a bite of this, you get a nice clean bite, plenty of meat, and a tremendous amount of flavor. That is real deal barbecue. In terms of value, I think the biggest and best deal on the menu is the pulled pork sandwich. First of all, just look at the size of this thing. This could feed you for lunch and dinner easily. They take these huge pork butts right out of the smoker. It is so tender they can literally grab chunks of meat by hand. Then they chop it up super fine. Then it's just stacked up high on a nice fluffy bun. I like it Southern style, so they add a scoop of their homemade coleslaw on top. Hit it with a little bit of sauce, and without a doubt, this is the kind of pulled pork sandwich you will want to pig out on. This is the unsung hero of the Goody Coles menu. It's something called Texas trash. So this is like a Frito pie, but just taken to a whole other level. So it starts with a base of Fritos. Yes, just those classic Frito-Lay corn chips. That's piled on with some barbecue baked beans. Then they take their famous Goody Coles brisket and they chop that down super fine. And on top of that, some white onions, a pile of shredded cheese, and just a nice drizzle of some sweet and smoky barbecue sauce. So this thing just has layers upon layers of tastes and textures. The crunch from the corn chips, the bite and the sweetness from the onion, the gooiness from the cheese, and that savory, beautiful brisket. It's a very hearty, very heavy plate of food. And it is so, so good. I would consider this to be one of the all-time great drunken foods. They call it trash. I think it's a treasure. Sometimes when you're having a big barbecue feast, the sides really make the meal. All of the sides here are true, authentic Southern style. So you got your garlic mashed potatoes, Cajun style corn, tangy cucumber salad, sweet and delicious baked beans, creamy potato salad. The #1 selling side is the mac and cheese. This is really creamy, really delicious. My favorite side is definitely the sweet potato. It's actually a smoked sweet potato. So you get the natural sweetness from that potato, you have the smokiness from the smoker, and of course you gotta put over the top a little bit of cinnamon butter. I would consider coming here just for a sweet potato and maybe get a rack of ribs to go. So this place serves smoky food and juicy food and just a lot of food. All you gotta do is get some sweet tea on the side and you'll be goody to go at Goody Coles.